An innocent man was just taken out in cold blood simply for sharing his opinion on the state of our culture. So it's time for me to turn the camera back on. I have an entire comeback set up for this channel, but this isn't about me right now. There's quite literally no other way to describe this than to say that this is a turning point for America. We've had political leaders assassinated, CEOs, celebrities, but never have we crossed the line in this country of hurting somebody to this level simply for publicly stating their opinions. Charlie Kirk was a man that most people respected. Even people who disagreed with him respected him for forging conversation. Even me personally, there was a lot of subjects that I disagreed with him on, but I always respected him for being a free speech absolutist. Charlie was an equal opportunity person when it came to discourse. And now, at the age of 31, Charlie Kirk is now dead. Charlie was shot at one of his popular cross-country speaking engagements in Utah University. He leaves behind a wife and 2 kids. And at the same time, there was a school shooting in Colorado. America is sick, and it is a virus that is spreading through every vein in this country. Our people are not safe from it. Neither are our politicians. The zombie apocalypse is here. And it's not here in the way that you thought it would be. Instead of rotting corpses that walk, it is brain-dead living people. People are either happy to pull the trigger or happy online because somebody else pulled it. Seeing people cheer at this man's death as if he didn't have a wife and kids was genuinely extremely distressing for me to hear. Frankly, it was demonic. I've had political disagreements with a lot of people, but never have I ever wished something like this upon any other living human being. The way that some people were able to add a, yes, he died, but to this situation is insane. And those are the ones hiding their hatred and pretending to be reasonable. You also had those that were outright making memes, and yes, you had those people that were actually, literally cheering at his demise, cheering that he died minutes after he died.
There are a lot of people that are like, no matter what side of politics you're on, you should never celebrate something bad happening to someone. I, on the other hand, do cheer when bad things happen to bad people.
Charlie Kirk just got shot. Oh my god!
Well, breaking fucking news, folks. Seems somebody just took a shot at one of the Fantafast's favorite 5-mile-wide mouthpieces, Charles Chucklefuck Kirk.
Does that scream to you a country that is sane and will actually survive the next 100 years in its current state? If I see those clips and my body fills with rage as I imagine the suffering that his family must be going through, having to see things like that, I can only imagine how they're actually feeling. We have always been the type of country that comes together during moments of tragedy, but the modern era seems to have killed off our compassion as a nation.
Do you support his death?
I do.
You support his death?
Fuck Charlie Kirk.
You support Charlie Kirk being killed?
Yes, I do.
On the day he died, you're here at a vigil for Charlie Kirk and you support his death.
Do you support a Nazi?
No, I don't support a Nazi. Charlie Kirk wasn't a Nazi.
Yes,
You support his shooter?
Yep, sure do. Free him.
You support Charlie Kirk's shooter?
Sure do. He does all a favor.
Would you shoot somebody like Charlie Kirk?
I would have killed him myself.
Hey, so Charlie Kirk just got shot. Maybe there are good guys with guns out there.
The best part of this whole goddamn thing is that he is not martyr material, so his death will mean nothing. It will activate no one. It will impact few. It's just great.
Wah, wah. He probably made like thousands of trans kids kill themselves. I literally could not give a fuck. They can get a stepfather.
When 9/11 happened, which was coincidentally the day right after this happened, of course 24 years later, it was like a shockwave that started in New York and rippled across the entire world, not just this country. When Katrina happened, the entire country held each other by the TV, trying to fathom the tragedy that had just occurred. Instead, the modern era has brought us 3 attempted assassination attempts on the current American president, and in response, the internet rejoiced and cheered that he was almost gunned down.
Fantastic news! Donald Trump has been shot!
I haven't even had a second to process. You're telling me somebody finally had the balls to bring a pew-pew, and he missed! We were a second away! We were a centimeter away from half of the problem being gone, and you missed!
And now with Charlie Kirk, apparently him and his family are not worth the compassion that this country used to offer to damages from hurricanes. We used to mourn as a collective at the sheer destruction that the weather can bring to our cities. Yet we can find ourselves compassionate enough to show empathy when a father is gunned down in front of hundreds of people like a deer, while half of the internet watched in shock and horror. The other side was partying and rejoicing. Politics are no longer just politics. Saying something that a big enough group of people disagree with you on could land you with a target on your back permanently. 20 years ago, it was as simple as Democrat or Republican. You avoided politics at the dinner table, but you still sat at the dinner table because we all recognized that these were people that we loved and that loved us. We're at a point where I'm having to explain to friends and family that murder isn't the way simply because you disagree with somebody on gender ideology or gay marriage. Meanwhile, there's a whole faction of people who are publicly online making TikToks about how he deserved it, or creating infographics with misquotes or straight up lies to justify their hate. I quite frankly cannot rationalize it at all. So I'm done. I'm done playing the nice guy. I'm back, and I'm back with a vengeance. I've always said that anger fuels a lot of what I do. I'm angry at what the world has become. I'm angry at what a lot of people have allowed themselves to boil down to. And I'm angry at the corruption of a country that I was promised was free. I was promised a country that was proud to live by the guiding principles within its own constitution. A country where freedom rang, and your voice was not perceived as a weapon, but as a way for you to express your ideals. Ideals that at one point unified us. The American morals of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. I'm afraid to say that I don't recognize this country anymore, and I'm worried that it will cease to exist in the prosperous way that it once did. The nation lost Charlie Kirk, and with him, a fraction of society lost their minds and what it truly means to call yourself an American. I have never seen my mother cry over somebody she had never met the way that she did, and I have never seen my sister or any of my friends as shocked as they were to find out that this happened. My mother, who came to this country with my father and 2 kids in her arms, looking to start new in the land of hope. I can imagine, and I know, that this is not the country that she envisioned her children would grow up to see. And unfortunately, I think that's where a lot of us are at. I will never be able to get that initial video out of my head, and I know that that is the same for most of you. There is obviously an ongoing investigation into why and who, but I will not be touching on that topic too much in this video because I believe that there is a time for us to question what happened after we've given his family enough time to actually mourn. For now, the story that's being broadcasted by the mainstream media is that a 22-year-old named Tyler Robinson was somehow able to shoot a target 200 yards away in a crowd full of people.
We begin in Spanish Fork, Utah. That's where Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old suspect in the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, is being held. While officials have yet to identify a precise motive for Wednesday's shooting, we are learning new details about the suspected killer. His family members say he recently became more politically active.
A story that I do not believe. In fact, that wasn't the first story that was told, because they initially said that it was some old man named George Zinn.
We don't know if it's him or not.
Who was then released. Then a younger guy who, based off the pictures, could possibly look a little closer to the suspect that they initially showed a picture of, but then they released him too. And finally, a guy that was seen driving around with a gun on his dashboard, a gun that matched the description of the one that was initially reported, who was also then later released. Shortly after, then came the conversation of motive. Very peculiar to me, like the last few mass shootings the media has covered, they mentioned that there was somehow a trans angle to this incident, stating that the ammunition the shooter used was engraved with transgender and anti-fascist ideology. And as if it couldn't get any weirder, not only are they alleging that there was ammunition that was engraved with anti-fascist and anti-trans ideology, but they're also alleging that some reports are saying that they were lovers and some reports are saying that they were just roommates. But they're also saying that he lived with a transgender person, which I assume in their mind is going to make us think in our mind that that person somehow radicalized him into doing what he did. Again, very close in comparison to the same story that we've been told about the last few mass shooters. There was a moment in time where the media wanted all of us to believe that mass shooters were white. And then there was a time where they told us that they were actually Muslim. And now we're being told that all of these mass shooters coincidentally happen to be transgender. This, to me, feels more like an opportunity to keep the country distracted and pointing the finger at an easy fall guy. It's too much of a coincidence to me that all of these psychos seem to have the same connection. To be frank, I don't believe in coincidences. We need to urge the government to investigate as much as possible. Yes, but we also need to start investigating these types of things ourselves. Ask every single question, research every single angle. We need to counter this culture of secrecy that we have all become too comfortable accepting. I'm more inclined to believe that this was a highly strategic assassination that was coordinated by people, not person, who knew exactly what they were doing, and there will be time for us to discuss all of that. I just finished watching Charlie Kirk's wife address the nation after all of this, and honestly, the only thing I can say is I am so sorry. I genuinely pray that his family is someday able to find peace after all of this. Charlie was a public figure to us, but to many, Charlie was a father, he was a husband, and he was a friend.
I don't want today to be about anything other than you guys knowing that Charlie really was an amazing person. You know, he was like, we were really close, and he was my best friend and my brother, and I will never unsee the footage of what I saw, the violence of it. He didn't deserve that ending. You know, he's really young. But I know that we will carry the torch. I will never allow the memory of Charlie to be forgotten, obviously, because there is no Candace without Charlie. You know, we came up in politics together. And so I don't know what else to say, guys, other than I'm in a lot of pain right now.
And I genuinely cannot imagine what they must be going through. We need to come back to an America where all of its people can come to the table and talk, because that's when our country is at its best, when we can all just come and pull up a chair. I cannot believe that this happened, but this is not an opportunity to cower. This is an opportunity to double down. I am angry, I am upset, and I will do something about it. I will use my platform to disinfect this country of the lies and the violence and this radical ideology that aims to destroy what is left of this great nation. When the time is right and we have more information for me to research and put together, we will be discussing this topic and dissecting all of the evidence. This tragedy has lit a fire under my ass to continue being a truth teller, and I hope that it's lit the same fire in you. If you were too afraid to get political before, this will only get worse and worse until you join us in fighting this virus. Be more vocal about the causes that mean something to you, and do not allow anyone to silence you. The movement that Charlie was part of creating is only just starting, and this will only amplify his voice further. They have turned messenger into martyr, and nobody who ever listened to the words that he spoke will let them die with him.
If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country.